Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are culminating our exploration into modern computing architecture by looking straight into the future. We've spent a lot of time understanding the massive parallel processing power of the GPU and why it basically became the underlying engine of the entire artificial intelligence boom. But today, we are going to tackle one of the absolute most fascinating questions in modern tech. What comes after the mighty GPU? Are we on the verge of a completely new hardware revolution? Okay, let's dive into this because honestly, it's really tempting to look at the tech landscape right now and just assume GPUs are going to dominate artificial intelligence forever. After all, they are at the very center of computing today. But will entirely new processors eventually replace them? Why are the biggest companies in the world quietly designing completely new ground-up chip architectures? Let's figure out why computing itself is about to fundamentally change. Part 1. The limits of GPUs. Hitting the wall. All right, to really grasp where we're headed, we kind of have to understand why GPUs are starting to hit a wall. Imagine trying to use a massive automobile factory to manufacture smartphones. I mean, could you do it? Sure. You've got conveyor belts, robotic arms, and a huge power grid, but it's designed for a totally different purpose, right? So it's going to be wildly inefficient. Well, that car factory, that's your traditional GPU. Remember, GPUs were originally built to render graphics and push pixels for gaming. They're amazing, general-purpose heavy lifters. But modern AI? That's the smartphone in this analogy. If you build a factory or a chip optimized entirely for one single task, your efficiency absolutely skyrockets. And we desperately, desperately need that efficiency because of this one word right here: trillions. Modern AI models are getting unfathomably massive. Early neural networks had maybe thousands of parameters. Those are the digital synapses connecting information. Then we bumped up to millions. Today, the frontier AI systems we're building contain hundreds of billions or even trillions of parameters. To put that into perspective, if every single parameter was a second, a trillion seconds is over 31,000 years. Traditional hardware is just completely struggling to keep pace with that sheer scale. So, when you try to run those trillion-parameter behemoths, you hit some pretty severe bottlenecks. Sticking 10 or 20,000 GPUs together creates staggering electricity costs. Plus, you demand massive cooling systems to deal with all the heat, and you end up maxing out memory and totally bottlenecking your network. Why? Because these general-purpose chips still carry all that built-in logic for rendering graphics and doing non-AI tasks. They are literally wasting precious energy on functions they just don't need. Which brings us to part 2, the custom silicon revolution, building specifically for AI. So the inevitable solution here? Building custom silicon. You see, AI workloads are actually remarkably predictable. They basically rely on repetitive math, like matrix multiplication and tensor processing, which is really just crunching massive grids of numbers all at once. And since the workload is so predictable, companies realized, wait, we don't need to buy generic off-the-shelf processors anymore. We can just build custom silicon, designing hardware perfectly tuned for exactly what they need. It massively boosts energy efficiency, and honestly, it cuts their reliance on outside suppliers. It gives these tech giants a huge strategic and competitive advantage. Probably the most famous early example of this is the TPU, or Tensor Processing Unit. Years ago, Google saw the writing on the wall. They realized their entire infrastructure, from search rankings to language models to cloud services, was going to depend entirely on AI. And buying endless fields of standard GPUs meant giving up control, so they built the TPU. It completely strips away all that graphics rendering baggage and focuses almost entirely on matrix multiplication and neural network execution. It's basically the ultimate specialized AI factory. And hey, it's definitely not just Google anymore. Look at this. Amazon is deploying their Trainium chips, Microsoft has the Maya AI accelerator, and Apple, they've already baked the neural engine right into your phone. Literally every major technology company is rapidly expanding into custom AI chips, because in this new era, whoever controls the hardware completely controls their own destiny. All right, part 3. Inference and edge AI. AI in the real world. Up until now, we've mostly been talking about training AI in these giant, humongous data centers. But what happens when the models actually leave the nest? That brings us to inference. Training is that incredibly heavy, computationally brutal process of actually building the model. Inference is what happens next. It's just running that trained model to actually answer your questions or serve real-time requests. As millions and very soon billions of us interact with AI every single day, the demand for inference is absolutely exploding. And serving billions of instant requests takes a totally different hardware approach. Think about it like this. Training is like a heavy bulldozer. It needs enormous capacity to chew through mountains of data over months. Inference, on the other hand, is like a paper airplane. It's all about low latency, meaning super fast response times, and extreme energy efficiency at a massive scale. When you ask your AI assistant a question, you want the answer right now, instantly. That precise difference right there is exactly why specializing these processors isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely critical. And that need for instant response times is pushing a massive trend known as Edge AI. Edge AI is all about taking artificial intelligence and running it locally, directly on your physical devices, totally outside of the big cloud data centers. But to actually pull AI out of the cloud and put it into the physical world right next to you, we need processors that are highly specialized and incredibly efficient. Just think about your everyday life for a second. Your smartphone uses Edge AI for facial recognition and real-time translation. Autonomous cars, they process millions of data points from cameras and radar every single second, just to avoid hitting things. You obviously can't shove a massive, power-hungry 400-watt data center GPU into your phone unless you want to lug around a backpack just for the battery. And things like medical devices or smart factories, they need latency-free, real-time decisions. They can't wait for a signal to bounce all the way to a cloud server and back. That's exactly why these edge processors are the vital, unseen engines running our modern physical world. Let's move to part 4, future computing architectures, the wild frontiers. So what happens if we look a bit further down the timeline? Well, first up is neuromorphic computing. Now, traditional computers process information sequentially, which is completely different from how biological brains work. But neuromorphic systems, engineers are designing them to literally mimic the biological neurons inside your own head. Because, let's face it, the human brain is the ultimate low-power, high-efficiency AI processor. By copying biological architecture, the hope is to get massive parallel processing, but using just a tiny fraction of the energy that today's chips use. Then, things get even crazier with optical computing. Standard processors run on electrical signals, and electrons create friction, which inevitably generates massive amounts of heat. Optical computing asks a pretty wild question. What if we just compute using light? By using photons instead of electrons, we could unlock insanely fast communication speeds with basically zero heat. It could completely solve one of the absolute biggest bottlenecks holding back modern AI data centers. And of course, we have to mention quantum computing. Yes, it's still in its early stages, but quantum processors promise to solve incredibly complex optimization, drug discovery, and machine learning problems that traditional binary computers literally couldn't solve no matter how much time you gave them. It is a massively promising horizon for the future of AI acceleration. Which brings us to our final section, part 5, the heterogeneous era, the end of one-size-fits-all. When you zoom out and look at all these developments together, a grand thesis really emerges: heterogeneous computing. Now, a really common beginner mistake is assuming GPUs are just going to vanish. They absolutely won't. They're still incredibly valuable and flexible for tons of parallel workloads. But instead of being the only tool in the toolbox, they're going to become just one piece of a diverse, collaborative ecosystem. You might have a standard CPU managing the system, a GPU handling general parallel tasks, a TPU crunching the heavy tensor math, and an edge chip delivering that final inference to the user. They're all going to work together as a team. So we can really see the clear trajectory here. First, AI models grew enormously. Second, that caused general GPU bottlenecks to emerge. Third, that triggered the creation of specialized custom chips. And finally, that leads us right to a future where diverse architectures collaborate to get the job done. And guys, it is literally impossible to overstate the importance of this shift. The geopolitical stakes here are absolutely monumental. This is not just about making our smartphones a little bit faster. AI hardware is actively determining global economic growth, scientific leadership, and even military capability. Nations around the world are pouring billions and billions of dollars into semiconductor infrastructure and supply chains. Why? Because the ability to build and deploy these specific, next-generation chips directly shapes global strategy and national competitiveness. So, I want to leave you with this one thought. The historic era of the universal one-size-fits-all processor, it's coming to a close. Artificial intelligence isn't just some new type of software. It is fundamentally redesigning the entire hardware industry from the atomic level up. So as we step into this AI native, heterogeneous world, how is this specialized hardware revolution going to completely reshape our technological future? And what kinds of wild new capabilities are going to emerge when computing is finally unconstrained by the limits of the past? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next one.